If you'd told me a parking spot could blow up my whole life, I'd have laughed until the day my HOA Karen tried to ruin me and accidentally picked a fight with someone who investigates criminals for a living. No, really imagine sipping coffee on your patrol car hood at 6 a.m., sunrise barely warming the street, when a woman in designer clogs comes marching across the asphalt yelling that your sheriff's vehicle is an eyesore destroying property values. Yeah, that happened. She was so mad she basically called the cops on the cops. Now, if you've ever tangled with an HOA, you already know these folks play by their own rules. But Brenda Worthington, she took it to another level. Picture a woman who irons her jeans, coordinates her garden tools, and wields a clipboard like it's a badge of honor. She moved into Willowbrook Estates after some ugly divorce got herself crowned compliance coordinator and turned nitpicking into a career. I was just Marcus Hendricks, a newly promoted county sheriff, single dad, trying to rebuild after losing my wife to cancer and moving my twin girls into the only house we could afford. Thought I was doing the right thing, parking my patrol car in the driveway for visibility, keeping crime low, being a good neighbor. Turns out Brenda saw me as public enemy number one. The first day she stomped over, I tried to explain county protocol, insurance, discounts, crime deterrent, the works. She just cut me off. Voice all fake, sweet, and sharp as broken glass. I don't care about your policies. This is a family neighborhood. Like I'd parked a dump truck full of manure instead of a squad car. Are you threatening me? She snapped, waving her phone around like she was about to live stream me on Crime Watch. That's when I realized this wasn't about cars or rules. This was about power, and she thought the new guy looked like easy prey. Joke's on her. I've been dealing with bullies since I was a kid, and I can spot a control freak a mile away. Still, when my daughters peeked out the window, worried I'd get us kicked out again, I promised everything would be fine. Famous last words. 3 days later, I get a certified letter, formal complaint, 72-hour deadline copied to your department chief. Brenda had officially declared war. The hilarious part, I'd just gotten promoted, meaning I had access to all the investigative tools you can dream of. And something about Brenda's aggressive, twitchy energy was setting off my cop radar. That feeling when you pull over a speeder who's sweating bullets because of something way bigger than a busted taillight. That was Brenda. So I dig, and turns out buried deep in the HOA rules, there's an exemption for emergency vehicles. I sent her a letter that was polite, airtight, and copied every ordinance I could find. Thought that'd shut her down. Yeah, no. Next thing I know, Brenda's going door to door warning everyone about the sheriff, setting a dangerous precedent. Petition signatures, threats about property values, classic manipulation. But I do what I do best, investigate. Found out this wasn't her first rodeo. Maria Santos got cited for her landscaper's truck, old Mr. Klein for his RV, Jennifer Reyes for her kids' chalk art. Always someone vulnerable, always someone who wouldn't fight back until now. One evening, Jennifer invites me over, tells me Brenda cited her for unsightly temporary decorations, chalk drawings her son made. Mr. Kowalski, garden gnomes. Mrs. Patterson, Christmas lights up too long. All these folks, different backgrounds, just trying to get by. The pattern's obvious. If you're different, broke, or busy, Brenda comes for you. But see, Brenda made a crucial mistake. She got greedy. I started checking county records and found that Worthington and Associates, the company enforcing our HOA, was just Brenda's side hustle. Every fine, every compliance inspection money right into her pocket. She'd turned harassment into a business. The next week, Brenda doubled down, sending city code enforcement to my house with a bogus report, said I was running an unlicensed private security company. The city inspector showed up looking like he wanted to disappear, but after 20 minutes, he was shaking his head, muttering about 6 false reports this year. Turns out Brenda's specialty was weaponizing paperwork and bureaucracy, trying to drown people in red tape until they gave up. She even got my chief called into a let's be diplomatic meeting. Maybe just park at the station for a while, he suggested. Sorry, chief, but giving in to bullies isn't in my playbook. That night, Jennifer and a handful of neighbors staged a miniature revolution in my kitchen, stories flying, casserole steaming, and everyone fed up. Dr. Kim, the quietest guy in the neighborhood, finally spoke up, said Brenda had been steering people to specific contractors, all conveniently owned by her or her family. Landscaping, repairs, decoration, she created the problem, then sold you the solution. That's not HOA enforcement, that's racketeering. We made a plan, document everything. Every fine, every letter, every threat. Meanwhile, I started combing through HOA records, and what I found was wild. The original developer had gone bankrupt years earlier. Legally, the HOA should have transferred to the homeowners. New elections, new rules. But none of that ever happened. Brenda just kept collecting checks, pretending to be in charge while fleecing 47 families out of thousands. With a case this good, I looped in the state attorney general's fraud unit and started prepping an evidence package that would make Netflix producers drool. Brenda's mistake was thinking nobody would dig deep enough to find the rot. But Brenda wasn't done. She called a snap HOA board meeting right in the middle of a workday so only her cheerleaders could make it. PowerPoint slides full of fake numbers, photos of my patrol car looking like it was about to invade Ukraine, and a vote to fine me $500 a day until I complied. She showed up on my porch that night to hand-deliver the notice, grinning like she'd just won the lottery. 30 days to comply, or we lien your property. She really thought she'd won. Little did she know her empire was built on fraud. Every fee, every assessment, every penny was illegal. I found invoices for compliance inspections and administrative fees totaling over $120,000 in 2 years' money that never should have left our pockets. We weren't just dealing with an HOA bully. We were dealing with organized crime. By the next neighborhood meeting, Brenda was riding high, even giving interviews to local news about protecting the community from rogue law enforcement. Meanwhile, the state was quietly collecting statements, subpoenas were flying, and I was about to make her world very small. The annual HOA meeting was a circus-packed house, people angry and scared. Brenda strutting around in her navy blazer, laying out her emergency assessment plan, every family to pay $2,000 to fund her legal defense. Threats of foreclosure, panic in the air. That's when I stood up, folder in hand, and laid it all out. Bankruptcy records, missing elections, proof Brenda and her company had no legal authority to collect a cent. State investigators in the back, badges flashing, and you could feel the room shift, fear turning to fury. Then came the big moment. The lead investigator stepped forward, reading Brenda her rights, arresting her in front of every neighbor she'd ever bullied. The handcuffs glinting, the sound of chairs, scraping people, gasping phones, snapping pictures. The best part, she got carted away in my eyesore patrol car, the very thing she'd tried so hard to ban. In the months that followed, the case exploded. Brenda's whole operation collapsed, taking down a web of fake HOAs in 3 counties. The money was recovered, fines refunded, and with some clever lawyering from neighbors like Jennifer and Dr. Kim, our community rebuilt from the ground up. Real elections, real transparency, no more secret fines or kickbacks. My daughters got to see what justice looks like. Emma wants to be a prosecutor. Sophie's aiming for sheriff, but with cooler handcuffs. We launched a community safety scholarship for kids, held our first block party in years, and turned Brenda's old contractor shed into a community garden. Mr. Kowalski's garden gnome army grew by a dozen, one for each fraudulent violation overturned. Neighbors brought casseroles instead of complaints. It's funny, sometimes you have to burn out the rot before anything good can grow. Brenda thought she could break us, but she built the strongest community bonds I've ever seen. Karma doesn't just wear a badge, she's got handcuffs, federal prosecutors, and a hell of a sense of timing. So now it's your turn. Drop your worst HOA horror story in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from and how you stood up to neighborhood tyranny. Smash that subscribe button for more real-life justice stories, because if there's one thing this whole mess taught me, it's that when good people stick together, bullies don't stand a chance.